So the first question I want to ask you has to do with Franco Zeffirelli. And there's the part in the film where you're talking about the making of Endless Love. And I'm curious, in the wake of this lawsuit, I'm sure you've been asked this, in the wake of this lawsuit with Romeo and Juliet coming out, does it surprise you? I gotta think you totally know what these actors are talking about. I'm just wondering what your whole response to that was.
It doesn't surprise me. It was a very different era in filmmaking, and I think many directors did take liberties and sort of tell the actors one thing and then tell the studio another, and sort of walk that fine line. But they were in charge, and everybody they were the star, really. And I find, I was lucky that I had my mother with me on set, and Franco hated my mother. he would. They loved each other, but he would always say that she was just always in his way, not on the set, but she would look at him and she'd be like, "I've got you," and he was just, "Oh, Terry," but he respected her. But I think that I was much more protected than many people probably were. It was a different time. Louis, she really wasn't around a lot. She was not there as much. With Randall, she was a little bit more there, but we were on a deserted island, so she couldn't really go to the local bar. But she was much more, she really just wanted the directors to be able to have their vision, but always keeping me, in her sight in one way or another. I had been approached many times, and it just never felt right. People would pitch to me and what they wanted, and nothing ever really seemed like it was the right tone. The team never seemed appropriate. And then when Ali first brought it to me, and we started talking about what kind of a story we wanted to tell, and how in the context of in a larger context, and then when we met Lana, and Lana really told me what her vision was, it felt like it was the right time. I wanted to make sure that her vision was what she wanted. I understood the context of what Ali and I had spoken about with regards to culture and sexuality and young girls, but I did not want to have any sort of not say in the matter, but I wanted to make sure that I handed it over to the artist and that her vision, because I didn't want to weigh in.
Yeah, it wasn't a collaboration. You know what I mean? It wasn't that Brooke participated fully in the documentary. But so Ali Wentworth had the idea, and she and George Stephanopoulos, executive producers, talked to Brooke about it, and then they were like, who should direct this? And that's when they came to me. So I didn't know about previous people approaching you about a documentary. I think I did have the sense, knowing how smart Brooke is, because I'd read both of her books, I did have the sense that this could go in a very different direction, and it could be a pretty superficial portrait. And after meeting you that first time, I definitely understood that Brooke was game for something very deep and layered and complicated in all ways, about her life, her experience in Hollywood, her relationship with her mom. And then I think what I really wanted to bring to it was this bigger cultural context, and telling Brooke's personal story and giving an audience this really moving experience of her journey, but also holding a mirror up to society and looking at how Brooke was a symbol and how she reflected what America was processing at different times about its feelings about girls and women. So that was the approach I really wanted to take, a micro, macro interweaving, really. The good thing was that, when I met Brooke, she had a hard drive that she handed me that her mother had compiled.
I just so
over
happened to
years.
have some
She
information
happened to have
for
a
you,
hard drive.
and here you go.
Well, she'd been working with an assistant, an archivist, right, who'd been digitizing for
My
years.
mother saved everything, and I've been around so long that it was half-inch, beta, quarter-inch, reel-to-reel. I've had every type of celluloid, and my mom had it all, but it hadn't been digitized. And I thought, one day, I don't know, maybe I'll need this, or maybe I'll need a reel of some kind. So I hired an archivist who just digitized everything. So it was perfect timing.
But this archive was just extraordinary. I mean, I remember I took it home from this first meeting. I was still figuring out, was this the right fit? But I started opening these files and seeing Brooke in all of these different circumstances, and Circus of the Stars, USO shows, in the White House, but then also Brooke at age 12 on this press tour where she was told by people, "You're so beautiful, you're so sensual, you're so mature. It's all so wonderful," but at the same time, she was also being told, "You've gone too far, this is disgraceful, are you ashamed of this?" And that reminded me of this contemporary situation that so many girls and women are still in, where you are encouraged to be a desirable object and told that's very important, to be desirable, to be sexual. But if you go too far and you don't know where too far is, that's very bad and you've crossed a line, and it's a bit of a minefield experience. So I loved seeing this material. It just helped me really be able to see it in the film.
And how this sort of power is sort of bestowed and then ripped away at the same time. And it's this sort of the conflict of that, and how do you rationalize it? How do you justify it? What does it mean to you? And as a young woman, I didn't comprehend much of it. I didn't feel compromised, but I was just trying to be liked, A lot of my movies were made because they fit into the summer vacation. So I never missed school for any filming. So, it's not like studios were necessarily waiting for me. So my movies were just what was available and what they were willing to sort of shoot during the summer. And it just so happened that they were of a provocative nature. But I'd also done Just You and Me, Kid, and I had done 27 Bob Hope shows, and that. So that was a very different, that was my happy place. The others were sort of the movies you did, but the working with Bob Hope and traveling all over the world and being Miss USO, that was really what I sort of gravitated towards.